Right. What is going on? Just getting things situated here. Welcome back. How's everybody's week been, huh? Another Thursday. Another Thursday just about in the books. Just about in the books. What's new with me? I got a new rug. Oh, so nice on the toes, you know? It's so nice. I was just like my feet were getting a little cold because it's like it's a hardwood floor, you know, and maybe it's a little drafty. I don't really know, but like, you know, my feet were getting cold, and it's always more cozy to have a rug. So Amazon special, and it happened to work out pretty good because like it's like a decent sized, decent quality, you know. I mean, not that I needed like anything crazy, but speaking of crazy, we had a lot of crazy things happen this week, didn't we? A lot of crazy things. Definitely want to get into it all tonight. Well, I take it back. I don't think we can get into it all, but I definitely want to chat with you guys, get some feedback going back and forth. I want to review some content. Last week we talked about Renee Good and the shooting, and now this Thursday, this live stream, I want to chat a little bit more about the protests that have kind of been going on because of it, you know, surrounding ICE and stuff like that. There was another ICE-involved shooting last night, I believe it was. We can chat about that a little bit, and we'll kind of just get into it, you know? A little bit of like a debrief. Last week, we also talked about Venezuela and Iran. We're probably gonna skip that this week, just because we have so much to talk about with stuff going on in the homeland, you know? And then I do have 2 viewer questions that was submitted by you guys that we'll go over, and hopefully I looked at them real quick. They look like they're going to be good topics to chat about, so hopefully we can bang those out and, you know, answer some questions and help some people. So I figured we're gonna probably start this one off by listening to Governor Walz's latest, I guess you call it like a speech, I guess, but yeah, that's probably what I would call it. So let me cue that up real quick. I got to share my screen and get that all set, and then we will go from there. All right, cool. Get that in order. But yeah, hopefully everybody's doing good. It's a little crazy out there right now. You know, things are a little spicy. Things are a little spicy. So everything looks like it's going good. All right, cool. Just checking the stream health, make sure it's not shitting the bed on me. That would be bad. All right, let me kill this music, and we'll get right into it. Make sure this is cranked up. We don't want to miss anything that Governor Walz might have to say to us. So, all right, let's go. Let's hear what he has to say.
My fellow Minnesotans, what's happening in Minnesota right now defies belief. News reports simply don't do justice to the level of chaos and disruption and trauma the federal government is raining down upon our communities. 2,000 to 3,000 armed agents of the federal government have been deployed to Minnesota. Armed, masked, undertrained ICE agents are going door to door, ordering people to point out where their neighbors of color live. They're pulling over.
So I don't want to like pause this a lot, but I just want to make, while we watch this, I want you to make a little bit of a mental note about some of the inflammatory language that he uses, and then we'll kind of go back and just touch on it. All right. So let's just listen for that. Be open for that.
Over people, indiscriminately, including U.S. citizens, and demanding to see their papers. And at grocery stores, at bus stops, even at our schools, they're breaking windows, dragging pregnant women down the street, just plain grabbing Minnesotans and shoving them into unmarked vans, kidnapping innocent people with no warning and no due process. Let's be very, very clear. This long ago stopped being a matter of immigration enforcement. Instead, it's a campaign of organized brutality against the people of Minnesota by our own federal government. Last week, that campaign claimed the life of Renee Nicole Good. We've all watched the video. We've all seen what happened. And yet, instead of conducting an impartial investigation so we can hold accountable the officer responsible for Renee's death, the Trump administration is devoting the full power of the federal government to finding an excuse to attack the victim and her family. Just yesterday, 6 federal prosecutors, including the longtime career prosecutor leading the charge to investigate and eliminate fraud in our state's programs, quit their jobs rather than go along with this assault on the United States.
It's kind of funny because, and this has happened before too, I just want to touch on that point real quick. But he's saying they quit, but then the administration's saying, like Pam Bondi said that she fired him. You know, I think that's happened before where, you know, people, it's like one of those things, you know, I think we've all done it, like, or know of it where somebody's like, you're fired. And they're like, you can't fire me because I quit. Right. So it's like, were they fired? Did they quit? I don't know. Does it matter to me? Not really. You know, they're not working there anymore. Now, because this is a little bit of a longer speech, so I don't want to go like way too far into it before, but right in the beginning, he sets the tone by saying armed, masked, and undertrained agents. It's like, I don't know where he gets the undertrained from, but that really kind of downplays, basically this whole speech downplays the legitimacy of ICE as an agency and also their directive from the federal government.
States Constitution. But as bad as it's been, Donald Trump intends for it to get worse. This week, he went online to promise that, quote, the day of retribution and reckoning is coming. That's a direct threat against the people of this state, who dared to vote against him 3 times, and who continue to stand up for freedom with courage and empathy and profound grace. All across Minnesota, people are stepping up to help their neighbors who are being unjustly and unlawfully targeted. They're distributing care packages and walking kids to school.
So one thing that's interesting, they're standing up for their neighbors who are being targeted, basically, unfairly targeted. Makes it sound like it's random, right? However, right on a live stream last night, protesters, rioters, whatever you want to call them, broke into a federal vehicle and stole a whole bunch of documents. And right in the live stream, these people are going through the documents and they're like, these are all arrest warrants. Oh, these are all arrest warrants. So that right there crosses out this whole idea of indiscriminately targeting people. No, they have arrest warrants for all of these people. And there's statistics too. It's something like out of like 600,000 arrests and deportations and stuff like that. It was only like under 200 that resulted in like a misidentification, basically nabbing the wrong person. So all this like kidnapping stuff and just randomly grabbing people of color, like, oh, you're brown, get in the car. You know, it's just not happening. And if it does happen by accident, those, you know, under 200 cases or whatever, they let them go because it's a mistake, you know, it's a mistake. I guarantee you that that's probably, if you held up like that same level of scrutiny, like 600,000 and then only 200, under 200 mistakes. I'm not a math person, but that doesn't seem too shabby if you ask me. You know, we are human and people make mistakes, obviously. But so anyways, he's acting like there's just willy-nilly pulling people, go door to door, asking if there's any brown people in the house and yanking them out. However, when you look at the papers and the documents that were stolen out of the vehicles of these ICE agents and federal agents, there were a stack of arrest warrants. You don't just make up an arrest warrant.
Raising their voices in peaceful protest, even though doing so has made many of our fellow Minnesotans targets for violent retribution. Folks, I know it's scary, and I know it's absurd that we all have to be defending law and order, justice, and humanity, while also caring for our families and trying to do our jobs. So tonight, let me say once again to Donald Trump and Kristi Noem, end this occupation. You've done enough.
Occupation.
Let me say 4 critical things to the people of Minnesota. 4 things I want you to hear as you watch the news and look out for your neighbors. First, Donald Trump wants this chaos. He wants confusion. And yes, he wants more violence on our streets. We cannot give him what he wants. We must protest loudly, urgently, but also peacefully. Indeed, as hard as we will fight in the courts and at the ballot box, we cannot and will not let violence prevail. You're angry?
Before he goes on, you know why most of these protests are happening in only certain states and not just like across the country? It's happening in the states where the governor or the mayor says to the local police departments that they cannot assist federal agents, right? They're like, don't help ICE, basically. So then you have ICE, who is a small squad, go in. They simply cannot actually arrest that many people. So that it empowers protesters and rioters because they know that they're not going to get caught. Because ICE isn't from that town in most cases. They come in to do the job. How is like 6 agents going to arrest 50 people? Even if they manage to wrangle and wrestle 50 people and cuff them all, where are they going to put them? Because probably they're not going to be able to take them down to the local jail because the local jail has been told that they can't help ICE agents. So it enables this this sense of bravado from a lot of the protesters to keep pushing the line because they're not going to get in trouble because they got the numbers on their hands right now. You know, the numbers are on their side. And it's just adding fuel to the fire. And again, it's delegitimizing the directive that the ICE agents have when the governor of the state tells their police department not to help them. So then the people who are against what ICE is doing, they think, yeah, the police aren't even helping these people. Like, ICE is the police. You know what I mean? There's like this type of language draws this false narrative, this false line down the middle where it's like the local police department, they're the police. ICE, they're something else. And my governor says I don't have to listen to what they do. And then it's just asking for trouble. And now I think knowing Donald Trump's ego, I think he probably wants this to get bad. Now, I don't know if he has some like major conspiracy that he's going to like take over Minneapolis and never give it back or whatever. I have no idea. I mean, it's possible. Anything's possible. But I think he's basically wanting it to get so bad that the people that are not protesting that live in Minneapolis pretty much beg him to send in the troops. So then he's kind of like got that savior thing going on, kind of like Iran, because Iran is also a little bit the same way. And I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole because we're not talking about that right now, but it's a little bit the same way. We don't care about those people. You know, we don't care about those people. We have an interest in seeing Iran fall. And that's why if it looks good to score some brownie points to go in and help the people, I think Trump will do it. However, I think it's kind of the same thing here in Minneapolis. It's like Minneapolis can fucking burn to the ground for all Trump cares, right? He doesn't give a shit. He's like, yeah, whatever. We'll cut federal funding. We won't spend any money on you. You can just be in your shithole if you want to be in your shithole. And then when things get really bad and he can look good to send in the troops, I think that's when he's going to do it. And if I had to guess, it's probably when either more people die or an ICE agent dies. You know, that type of, the riots get to that level.
I'm angry. Angry is not a strong enough word, but we must remain peaceful. Second, you are not powerless. You are not helpless, and you are certainly not alone. All across Minnesota, people are learning about opportunities, not just to resist, but to help people who are in danger. Thousands upon thousands of our fellow Minnesotans are going to be relying on mutual aid in the days and weeks to come, and they need our support. Tonight, I want to share another way you can help. Witness. Help us establish a record of exactly what's happening in our communities. You have an absolute right to peacefully film ICE agents as they conduct these activities. So carry your phone with you at all times. And if you see these ICE agents in your neighborhood, take out that phone and hit record. Help us create a database of the atrocities against Minnesotans, not just to establish a record for posterity, but to bank evidence for future prosecution.
That statement right there is pretty insane if you think about it. Think about it. This whole thing has pretty much started because this state didn't want to keep a database of illegal immigrants. They wouldn't comply. They wouldn't share the data that they had, right? But then he's saying he wants the people to go out in the streets and film ICE agents so that they can build a database to prosecute them later on. The inflammatory language that I think is interesting is atrocities. You know, occupied, occupation, occupied, whatever he said. Atrocities, being occupied, masked, gunmen, all this stuff. And then you sprinkle a little, but be peaceful on top there. What do you think is going to happen? You know, what do you think is going to happen when your governor is telling you you're being occupied by masked gunmen? He's also called ICE, talk about the Gestapo and all these things. All of this like Nazi rhetoric, this like Nazi framing is not good. It's not good. I personally don't think it's accurate, but I definitely don't think it's good. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Like, don't be talking about this. Don't talk like this and then expect your people not to get killed in this crossfire that you're basically setting up as the governor.
The third thing I want to say to you tonight is we will not have to live like this forever. Accountability is coming at the voting booth and in court. We will reclaim our communities from Donald Trump. We will reestablish a sense of safety for our neighbors, and we will bring an end to this moment of chaos, confusion, and trauma.
But the country did vote on it. Trump ran his campaign, not the whole thing, but a large portion of the campaign was on immigration. And I think if you were to ask back then, like people coming out of the booths, if you were to say, why did you vote for Donald Trump? I think a lot of those people would say immigration was pretty high up on that list. So we have a president who said he was going to do this, and now he's doing it, and the side that lost are taking the stance of being victims and this is not right and all this stuff. It's like, I say this in a lot of my videos because I sit in the middle on a lot of issues. I sit in the middle, okay? But this one I'm pretty firm on because I believe in the rule of law. And I think that law is the foundation for any like modern society. And when you start taking laws away and you start taking the processes away, it chips away at things. Okay. So the process was we voted, everybody voted. The winner happened to be Trump this time. He's going to do his thing that he said he was going to do. When the time comes, people are going to go out and they're going to vote again. That's when the change happens. Because if you go out and you protest the results of an election because you don't like it, well, what happens when your side wins? Do you want the other side doing what the I'm going to say it, what the left is doing right now? So like when the left wins the next election, do you want the right to be doing all of this? No, we want to just be like, okay, this was the election. Let's move on. Let's vote, like if not, I already think every election in the future is pretty fucked, if you ask me, simply because we're setting this precedent that people can essentially act like toddlers and not respect the outcomes and not respect the laws and be like, that doesn't apply to me because I don't feel it's right. That's all emotion. The court systems were designed to take out emotion, to only go on facts. So if the courts say that Donald Trump can do whatever he's doing right now, then we have to just sit back and wait our time to vote to make it so that this doesn't happen next time or whatever. That's the process. You can't bitch about the process and then skip the process and then call the other side Nazis for not doing the process that you think the process should have. You just have to vote. That's it. Just vote. If you lose, you lose.
We will find a way to move forward, and we'll do it together. And we'll not be alone. Every day, we are working with business leaders, faith leaders, legal experts, and elected officials from across this country. They've all seen what Donald Trump is trying to do to our state, and they know their states could be next. And that brings me to the fourth thing I want to say tonight, Minnesota. How incredibly proud I am of the way that you've risen to meet this unbearable moment. But I'm not at all surprised, because this is who we are. Minnesotans believe in the rule of law, and Minnesotans believe...
What the? How do you say you believe in the rule of law and then completely encourage your people to ignore the laws that are already on the books? Yeah, go ahead. Meet with the lawyers and do all the things. That's the legal process. Go ahead. As the governor, you can do that. But don't be like, in the meantime, let's go stop this from happening because we don't agree with it. Like, you can't be judge and jury at the same time.
In the dignity of all people. We're a place where there's room for everybody, no matter who you are or who you love or where you came from. A place where we feed our kids, we take care of our neighbors, and we look out for those in the shadows of life. We're an island of decency.
The guy acts like it's the fucking 1950s and everybody's like riding their bike around the neighborhood. Be back by dark, babe. Okay, mom. No. This is the same place that George Floyd got killed. You know what I mean? The fucking ghettos and all this shit. Like, he's like quoting these like old-timey scenarios. It's not even the way most of America is anymore. We take care of our neighbors and all this shit. Like, what the fuck? I don't even know who my neighbors are. Most people don't even know who their neighbors are. So I guarantee you, Minnesota's not like that. Like not like he's portraying. It's just not the way America is anymore.
In a country being driven towards cruelty. We will remain an island of decency, of justice, of community, of peace. And tonight I come before you simply to ask, don't let anyone take that away from us. Thank you, protect each other, and may God bless the people of Minnesota.
Anybody notice he didn't say God bless America? I thought that was kind of interesting. So, yeah, let's talk about that real quick. Let's just talk about Tim, old Timmy boy. I personally don't like Tim. I think Tim is a little bitch. And I think maybe I don't like Tim because Tim was the token man that the Democratic Party shoved in front of us all and tried to tell us that he was what masculinity should be. Then there was all this other bullshit with their campaign when they were talking about like, you know, I'm a real man, and that's why I'm not intimidated by a woman president. It's like, what? Huh? What are we even talking about? You know what I mean? And then old Tim Walz is sitting there like holding a shotgun and trying to change a carburetor on a truck. I think that's why I don't like him in general, just because he does not represent masculinity. You know, I think if you asked anybody for a masculine man, Tim Walz is probably not the one that's going to pop up like first on their list, you know? And so I think I hold a little bit of a grudge against that, because I'm mad at the Democrats for trying to say that he's the answer to getting like the young men to vote Democrat. It's like, oh man, you're so out of touch. You're so out of touch, you know? And that pisses me off, because as a person that sits in the middle on a lot of things, I would like options. If I don't want to have to vote for somebody like Trump, I would like to vote for the other party that also has my interest in mind. But neither side really does, you know? Neither side really does. And I think the more Americans come to terms with that, the better we'll all be, you know? But, all right, so I'm going to bump over to Twitter. Let me just get it set up here. I have some stuff that I want to watch on Twitter that's kind of like talking about, again, about the riots and some different reactions and stuff. But first, before this is probably gonna get my channel demonetized or whatever, but since we heard from Tim Walz, we should really hear from the Vice President, JD Vance.
Let's make our escape. Come on, let's go there. Let's ask, can we stay?
Hitting them high notes.
Take me higher to a place where the line
I'm sorry. AI is getting sorry, I gotta mute this again. AI is getting out of control. I gotta turn my volume down a little bit. That's me, not you. Oh man. AI is getting out of control. So there's so many memes. If you follow it, there's so many memes of JD Vance with, I don't even know. He used to be fat, so I think that's where it came from. I'm not really sure where like the permed hair came from, but I do think it's pretty fucking funny. All right, let me queue up the next one here. So I have a couple to watch. So I think I want to hit a couple of these that are like sort of just like reasonable takes about, you know, about the whole protest and things like that. So let's hit that one first. So let's go here. Back this up, make sure we got some volume.
We are already surpassing Hitler, Nazi Germany. Do you not see this? If we have to debate the morality of does a person deserve to be shot in the face by a masked man who just jumped out of his car working for the government, what have we become?
Well, apparently Nazi Germany, what you said. You notice how every time something happens that these crazy leftists don't like, it's the same script. It's fascism, it's Gestapo, it's Hitler, Nazi Germany.
They do repeat like the same things quite a bit.
Nazi Germany was a genocidal totalitarian dictatorship. There were no elections, there was no free press, they didn't have courts, there was no due process. The state murdered millions of people as literal official policy. ICE, whether you like them or not, is a law enforcement agency enforcing immigration law passed by Congress in a constitutional republic with courts, elections, lawsuits, body cams, inspectors general, and non-stop media scrutiny. If you think Those two things are the same. You aren't serious and you don't understand history. But this is the finest display of Godwin's law, but it's literally on steroids. When your argument is weak, you reach for Nazis. And it's not accurate, but it shuts down conversation for you. It's the same thing that these pro-Palestinians do when they point to Gaza. They call it a Holocaust. While many of them will downplay the Holocaust, they have to use the Holocaust because deep down they understand how bad it was, so they have to compare their situation to the worst possible thing they can imagine. But I want to talk about the shooting itself. Was it tragic? Of course it was. Are people allowed to criticize tactics or the rules of engagement or agency conduct? Absolutely. But what's not happening with ICE is a policy of extermination. There are no death camps, there is no ethnic cleansing, there is no policy of mass killing. A single disputed law enforcement shooting, even a bad one, does not equal fascism. If that were the case, then literally every country on earth would to you have to be Nazi Germany.
We are already surpassing.
Okay, I already heard that once. I don't need to hear it again. So one of the things that we're gonna watch like quite a few like clips and stuff, and I want to focus on, or I want you to pay attention to the demographic that seems to keep showing up in these videos. Now I know it's not all. Like, yes, if you could show me plenty of protests that have some men in it, that have some minorities in it, but the overwhelming majority of the protesters are white. And then on top of that, I would say 80% of them are women. And I just find that interesting. And I find it interesting because I think that this is a very emotionally charged situation right now. And I think that women fall, I don't want to say victim. They fall victim to that mentality or that mindset of victimhood and wanting to protect, right? That like nurturing mama bear type thing. It's in their DNA, right? It's in their DNA. Whereas men, for the most part, if it doesn't like affect our circle right around us, we're kind of like logically, why am I gonna go sacrifice myself for somebody I don't even know? You know, we don't get that trigger. We don't get triggered like that. But I do think it is interesting, and it makes me kind of wonder, like, what the hell's going on? Like, why is there so many white women that are standing up for this cause? You know, and it's just kind of one thing. Here's another one. Let me cue this one up real quick. This is also interesting, and it goes along with the same thing.
Like, I actually don't have a single friend who is like thrilled with how their husband is reacting to all this. Most of them are describing their husbands as ostriching, sticking their heads in the sand and pretending like nothing is happening. Meanwhile, my friends, their wives, are trying to figure out, how are we going to continue normal life for our children through this? How are we going to prepare and protect ourselves? And their husbands are like, stop being so emotional. You're overreacting.
Weird.
I mean, do we see what's happening? Hello. It's time to wake up. Protect your family. Like, my friends are losing complete faith in their partners at this point. The divorces that are going to happen after all this, it's going to...
I just want to point out, look at her username, her TikTok name. She can't be managed. Holy fuck. That sounds like a fun marriage to be in.
Be an unprecedented number because you all are failing your families.
Wow. Okay. I mean, that does kind of go with what I'm saying, right? You know, like, why is it always, not always, I can't use language like that. Why is it overwhelmingly a majority of white women that fall between the ages of college to like 30 years old, you know? And then over the top, there's like an old demographic that are basically like retirees that are like, you know, from the hippie days or whatever, showing up to these things. But it's like, no, it's all of these white women who live these privileged lives that are just SSRI'd out of their fucking mind. Most of them don't have kids, you know, the dog moms. It's interesting. It's just really interesting. I don't know. In my mind, I don't know if it's like a couple things coming to a head. Like, is it like the feminist movement clashing with ICE because ICE are mostly men? You know, I don't know what it is, but it's kind of fascinating to sit back and be like, wow, there are so many women for this cause. You know, I don't have an answer for it, obviously. I don't know why. It's just something that is noticeable, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. So this guy, I want to bring him up because I did not know what to expect with this person, and I was just going down through things, and I saw, I'm not gonna, I saw his appearance, and I was like, this person's probably out of their fucking mind. Let's see what they have to say. But I was pleasantly shocked. You know, I was like, holy shit. Okay. Like, he at least put forth an argument, an intelligent statement, you know? And that's kind of what I was surprised about. Whether you agree with what he says or not, that's irrelevant. I want to sort of like show both sides of things when I can. But, so yeah, this is, I was mistaken. I judged a book by its cover, and I would like to apologize to this gentleman.
You used to be Democrat, then you had a kid. I mean, look, everyone's Democrat, everyone's liberal until something happens to make you grow the fuck up. This is why these leftists in Minnesota are acting like children. They're lacking the maturity to understand what they're doing, what they're fighting for, what the stakes actually are. People really don't have the defining moment that makes them fucking liberal. You're a liberal, and then you realize, like, oh, we have a responsibility to our nation, to our people, to our culture. This is why they're acting so insane and so savagely, is because they're still immature. They're still acting like children. See, this is the...
Now, that part right there, I don't know about savagely and whatever. I'm not going to use that same logic there or that same wording, but the way that he says... He's basically saying kind of the same thing that I'm saying, that this situation is very emotionally charged. It's running on emotion and not as much on facts and like logic. And so I think that is why this cause is speaking to women more than it is speaking to men. And then on top of that, you have the social media and the TikToks, and you want to get the likes, and you want to get the shares, and you want to get the dopamine hit. So everybody's gassing each other up, you know, yes, queen, you're so right, you're so right, you're so right, you know, drive, baby, drive, you know, all that shit. It's like, whoa, let's fucking calm down. Everybody, calm down.
This is the problem as well. It's like, as a mature person, it is almost impossible to argue with an immature person, which is where this issue is arising. We're not on equal footing here. We're not of equally sound mind. We're not of equal intellect here. Not of equal experience. Trying to have a debate or conversation. We're trying to deal with children. Have you ever tried to reason with a child? Have you ever tried to reason with an insolent child throwing a tantrum? It's impossible. You can't sit down with a child and discuss philosophy and behavioral studies. It doesn't work. They don't understand. They don't understand. And this is the problem that we're having. We cannot communicate with the left. We're unable to. They lack the cognitive ability to have a discussion about this.
Now, again, I'm not using the same language that he's using. I'm just saying I agree with him on the fact that this is an extremely emotional topic. And I thought it kind of played into what I was saying with it being a lot of women that are showing up and taking the charge, you know, and leading the way on these things. And I think, like that one video just a minute ago when the lady was bitching about the husbands not stepping up and getting involved because they're like, you know, calm down or whatever. It's like, yeah, maybe you should listen. Maybe we should everybody just calm down. So, okay. All right. Let's just get a look at this. Let's get a look at this. Let me see. Let me pop this one up here. I'm going to turn the volume down at first because I have no idea.
This can't be happening!
Hey, kill these ICE agents, bro.
Do the thing that you're supposed to do. Utilize the Second Amendment.
They are going to murder us all. Hello?
Is that bulletproof vest even bulletproof anymore?
This can't be happening!
Fucking pathetic worm.
You know, these pussy-ass ICE motherfuckers, they're gonna start catching a hell of a lot more than snowballs.
Like, if you wear an ice badge,
like his dick.
From now on, I would expect people to start mag-dumping you.
I encourage everyone who sees this video to bear arms and practice your Second Amendment right.
They're minding their business. Boo! That's how we need to start doing them.
We're not gonna go get justice. We're gonna go get revenge. We're gonna round up a whole lot of motherfuckers.
Hey, yo, the only thing that guy looks like he's rounding up is a donut. So, look, this is insane. Like, you're talking about causing violence to federal agents. Like, I don't want to live in an America like that. You know what I mean? So whether you agree with it or not agree with it, I just don't want this to be an outcome. And yeah, these people are probably the craziest of the crazy, and that's why. But I really think we all got a little dumber when TikTok came out, for sure.
If you're an ICE agent, this might be a good time to kiss your spouse and kids goodbye, because you know what? You might not be coming home tomorrow.
Oh, look at her eyebrows. Holy shit.
Gang, they done found you and your whole family.
If you slime the fuck out of an ICE agent, just say you were with me, and I'll corroborate the story.
Like, hello? Knock, knock, knock. Are you home?
Did you take the trash out? Did you take the trash out like I asked you to?
Wake up!
Rage.
Fuck, I hate it here!
The YNs know we about to go into martial law. We need these YNs to step up. These young boys that's running around these ski masks, these super United States gangsters.
I'm trying to figure out why we're not shooting them.
Are we fucking great yet? Are we a great country? Is this one? It's fucking great!
Remember, people, if a masked man tries to kidnap you, put a bullet in his fucking face.
I'm really questioning when the left's gonna start playing Papa Cop. Tag DHS, I am Antifa.
It's time to purchase my Second Amendment or get the fuck out of this country, and I haven't decided which one I want to do yet.
I'm not even giving you the opportunity.
Not everybody has the stomach or the wherewithal for what needs to happen next.
You're not getting out of this stew boating.
No questions. We don't need to be asking no questions. We just need to, whoa, hey, sir, boom. That's all I need to do. That's all we need to be doing.
I don't want a vigil. I want Molotov.
Okay. Yeah, you know, it's, God, like, we're going to watch a little video in a little bit, but, I don't want to live in this country that is headed that direction. You know what I mean? Like, just like culturally, like what culture we have here as Americans. I want everybody to be Team America. Like, we got this together. And as sad as it sounds so sad. There was a brief period of time after 9/11 when I felt that the nation was the most Team America that I've experienced in my lifetime. Now, whether it was the same after Pearl Harbor and stuff like that, I don't really know. It was such a bad time for the country, but also a good time for the country in other ways. You know, it was like the closest thing to a glimpse back in time to like the 50s that I experienced in my life. And where we are headed, I do not think it is great, you know? And so many people are like, oh, we just need a civil war. No. That is not fun. You know what I mean? That's not fun. And so many people, and I think the people that are calling for like civil war and stuff like that are people that have never even seen war. And I think one of the reasons why we have so many people acting so unhinged, and then when they do have consequences are so shocked by the consequences, is because generally speaking in America, we all live relatively safe lives. You know, in most places, you can go to the grocery store and not worry about a militia coming around the corner and gunning you all down or chopping one of your hands off because you're from the wrong town or the wrong tribe, etc., right? We don't really know violence. The only violence that most of us, majority, specifically these white women, have seen is on the movies, on TV. And the thing about that is, on the movies and on TV, the good always wins over the evil. But that is not how the world works. Couldn't be the farthest from the truth. There really isn't a fair in the real world, right? Like you go to some of the other places and you're like, holy shit, this is awful. That's reality. Going and getting pissed off because you ran out of Adderall and the freaking barista at Starbucks put too much foam in your light foam drink. You have no idea. And so then when we take it one step further, see, as a man, I have to navigate life knowing that if I say the wrong thing to the wrong person, specifically, like if I say the wrong thing to the wrong man, physical altercation is a possibility. But in America, there's another level of detachment that women have. And it's, you know, the whole don't hit a woman thing and all that stuff. Like, yeah, like I believe in it. I'm just saying. But so they go through their life never having that fear of like spouting off to another girl or another guy and like having physical violence happen. And so we've gotten so soft. And I really think that that's another reason why, like, I freaking saw somebody, I had to unfriend them. I had somebody on one of my social platforms that is a mom. She's white, middle-aged, the most vanilla person ever. And she was talking about how she saw like an ICE agent and trust me, what'd she say? Like, trust me, I'm ready. You don't want that smoke. You fucking probably couldn't even do 10 push-ups. What are you talking about? That smoke. Do you think you're going to throw hands and beat up a grown man? Do you think you're going to outshoot a trained federal agent? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Quit LARPing as some revolutionary and go pick your kid up at school. Because your kid needs you. Your kid needs you because we need a better future. And right now, y'all are not doing a good job at raising them. Anyways, so let's move on. I want to actually talk about, I want to review, where to go. Oh, this lady had a pretty good point. Let's listen to this. Like, here's both sides. It's kind of like one of those back and forth arguments, which I always like.
Don't come on my page and say that people should be in this country legally. Don't
Do it.
No! No! Shame! Shame!
He shot her because she was queer. Are we f***ing great yet? Are we a great country? Is this one? It's f***ing great.
A lot of people are wondering right now how in the world a person's brain ends up like this, because this is not how healthy, happy people act. Let me explain. Liberal women are what happens when the natural female instinct to nurture and defend and care for gets misdirected away from families and children and misapplied to whatever the liberal cause of the weak is. See, women have an innate instinct to support and emotionally connect to vulnerable people. We are designed to be mama bears. And in the absence of a stable and healthy home and family, a woman will find a place to put all of that. The natural instinct to sacrifice yourself for your children gets misapplied in all the wrong directions. You want to know why so many liberal women are out there playing hero for criminal aliens and gender-confused perverts and cultures that hate them? It's because they believe they have identified groups of people who need them when no one else does. We destroyed the family, and we handed a generation of women a bunch of feminist lies and progressive slop in its place. And this is the natural result.
Dang. I knew I saved that for a reason, because it was like she said it better than I could say it, obviously. But that reminds me, there's another video that I have to find real quick. Bear with me real quick. Give me one moment. All right, here it is.
Women.
I wish it did not autoplay every time I select it. Okay, so this is by a guy named Homath. Okay. I think he tried to rebrand his channel to something else because he's a lot more than talking about hoes. But this is very interesting. Hey, Wandering, what's up, man? We're reacting to some things, watching some clips, just talking about, right now we're talking about the Minnesota protests and just how emotionally charged it is, and then also taking a peek at like why a lot of it is women showing up. So anyway, I think this will kind of play into it a little bit. So yeah, Homath.
And politics. I'm going to explain how they work together using this empty container of chamomile bath salts that came with this gay little spoon. Adorable. So first of all, I just bought a house. Here's my YouTube award on the wall. I can't show you the house because someone will geolocate it, but I just got the floor done. My real estate lady got me a welcome package, including a Second Amendment plaque and some coasters and some bath salts with this ridiculous little spoon that would never work. I want you to focus on the spoon. A spoon is a thing with a purpose. This spoon is for cooking, this spoon is for eating, and this spoon is for absolutely nothing. Why would anybody want to buy this or manufacture it? Look how ridiculous this is. This is just not an effective way of getting things done. There's not much happening here at all. And there's no way I could get to the bottom of the jar. This is a useless version of a normal thing. Just like a baby is a useless version of a human. It's all tiny and it doesn't do anything, just like this, and that's why women love them. Basically, the farther you go in this direction, the more it activates the mommy instinct. She doesn't want to see this on a dating app. Don't forget, you can learn about relationships and almost anything else on Shortform, my most loyal sponsor. Discover the world's best ideas with book summaries, articles, podcasts, and more. Use the link in the description. Okay, back to baby politics. Kindergarten Mommy Consciousness explains almost everything about women in politics. It all makes sense if you assume that they are maximizing for the number of babies to be taken care of. And that's probably one of the reasons that my real estate lady selected this. It's a baby spoon. It can't do anything by itself. It needs love. That's what I've been referring to as deserving, using this arrow. The way that works is how, like, men have to go fight with God, they have to go fight with nature to make buildings and food and stuff, and then women just deserve it, and that would be this blue arrow here. And then the red arrow is men providing it to them. And then, of course, children deserve the most because they're useless, like this thing. Well, remember, deserving is something that women tend to naturally do. They tend to just deserve all of this stuff, and then you get me. And when women don't have babies, they start making them out of everything. And the amount that you are a baby is the amount that you are small and helpless. And nobody is more helpless than women, who can be victimized by greeting cards, and minorities, who are actually 93% of the population. So now you understand. You have nothing because the government took it away and gave it to everyone else because women vote for deserving. So women deserve and babies deserve. And if there aren't enough babies, we'll just make some out of whatever we can find. And you are the baby that has too much and needs to share, even if you actually have nothing. And that's women and politics. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to check.
So his videos are always really, really good. He does a really good job of like, his illustrations are great, basically. His illustrations are great. And so, but this goes to that thing that we were talking about, where is this such an emotionally charged event that happens to pique women's, like, hits all the buttons. You know what I mean? It hits all the buttons. It's super emotional. A lot of women can get behind it. So there's the whole like group mentality thing, right? They're doing something. They're feeling like they're serving a purpose, etc. Like if they're basically bored suburban housewives or moms or whatever, they're like, I'm getting out there and I'm fighting a cause for these helpless people, aka babies. To me, it all makes sense. Well, it doesn't answer it all, but it's like, okay, yeah. So wondering, I mentioned this earlier too. It's not just the women watching the riots. There's a ton of dudes out there too. Correct. But most of the dudes are at nighttime when the violence starts happening. But if you like look at a lot of the stuff, there's a lot, I would say probably it's 80% women in a lot of the protests, right? Especially like a lot of the driving around with the cars and doing all that stuff and the whistles and all that. Is there men? Yes. Is there minorities there? Yes. But for the most part, there is a ton of white women. And I'm just so curious why it's like, this is the cause, right? Like, why is this the cause that they're getting behind? Just interesting. And like, you can't even like talk about like, and I'm not saying that you're doing this right now, wondering, but like, you can't even like talk about something without people being like, yeah, but I did see this one guy, right? It's like, we're talking in generalities here, right? Like, for instance, the video of when they were ripping the gun vault rack thing out of that vehicle. Those were men and women, but there wasn't any white people, right? So like I'm saying, like most of the time it's white people because it is most of the time, but there is, just like anything else, there's men there, there's women there, there's black people there, there's white people there. However, it's just very interesting that this is the cause that they're like really getting behind. And I'm just kind of curious why. So let's watch this one. Let's see. I don't think we watched this one yet. So this is one where this lady. So again, here's a white lady, but this is a white man, right next to her. So, it's not all of them. Not all of them. But look, let's look here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 6. Just interesting, that's all.
Okay, I'm on.
So she threw a bottle. She's like, I'm gonna get away. And that looks really funny. It's really funny to me. It's like they had to take a shit.
Let's see if this is back up. Fuck you. Back up. Fuck you.
Back up. Fuck you.
What'd you eat for breakfast? Couldn't have been bacon, right? That'd be cannibals. Back up! Back up! I'm a safe distance. Do you feel safe?
I remember why I saved this. listen to what he's saying to this cop, right? You know, fuck you, you're a pig, you know, blah, blah, blah. They did catch up to this lady that threw the bottle, and she's being arrested. And it is kind of funny that she's like, her Ugg boots are sticking out of the snow or whatever. But this part,
back up! Back up!
this is the part coming up here that I wanna highlight.
Motherfucker, what's wrong with you? What's your name? What's your name?
Some guy's like, chill out.
Stand up. I'll give you your glasses. Stand up. Stand the fuck up. Get up.
So she's not standing up.
Stand up.
She's being being a pain. This guy comes over and puts her glasses back on her face.
Thank you. You gonna stand up now? Stand up.
And she says thank you. Which I thought was
Are you proud of what you're doing?
a nice end to an interaction, you know?
Are you proud of what you're doing?
And then that sounds like fireworks going on.
No, Dad. You proud of what you're doing?
Oh, she decided she didn't want to walk anymore again.
Back up! Back up! Back up!
It's just like, come on, you know? Like, it's tough. It's fucking tough for everybody out there right now, you know? So Wandering says, yeah, and I disagree. There were people of all varieties there. It's mostly opportunistic. People want to stand for something that they want to believe that's fascist and right around the corner. Right. They're like, hey, let's just go outside. It's right there, right? People fuck around and finding out to have a piece of history. It's all stupid. Yeah, that's interesting. I would agree with you on that part there. It's sort of like, oh, this is a big thing and it's right around the corner. Let's go be a part of it. Like, I mean, I was in college in downtown Boston when the Red Sox won the World Series, you know, broke the curse and all that stuff. And for whatever reason, everybody ran out into the streets, and for whatever reason, started flipping cars and lighting things on fire and all that stuff. And as a college age person, I was just there observing, and I was like, you're right. Like you were saying, I was being a part of this historic moment, right? And I remember we all like marched or whatever. We all ran down to Lansdowne Street, like in front of the baseball field. They weren't playing there, but we ran down to the field, and people started getting crazy or whatever. And the cops came down, and they were in riot gear, and they had they were on horses, and they didn't do pepper spray or anything like that, but they had some rubber bullets. One girl got pretty hurt by a rubber bullet. But I remember I was standing there, and we were like, we're on the corner of the street, and the police were pushing everybody down the street. So we sort of just stepped on the corner, and everybody was gonna like get pushed past us. Well, that's not how it works. Everybody in front of the police line has to move forward. You can't just be like, well, no, I'm just gonna hang out around the line here and just not do whatever. And I remember we weren't even like doing anything. We're just standing there. And my friend, he's standing there, and this cop just fucking cracks him with a baton like in the arm. And he's like, the cop's like, fucking get moving or whatever. My friend's like, oh my God, he pretty much died. He's like, oh, he weighed like nothing, But you know what? We fucking left. We left. We weren't even doing anything, but we realized that nothing good was going to happen by even just being there observing. We're like, nope, let's go. I'm glad I didn't get hit. And the next day, his whole upper arm was just like black and blue and like swollen and all this stuff. And I think some girl got shot like in the eye or like the head by a beanbag round, I think. And, I can't remember, but I think it kind of fucked her up, and it made the news, and I'm pretty sure there was some lawsuits and stuff like that. But point being, we shouldn't have been there. We were just there in the moment to like be a part of it, like you were saying, and then shit hit the fan. We fucked around and found out, and we got the hell out of there. you know? So, before we go on to the next thing, because I do want to talk about the guy that got shot in the eye with some sort of a projectile and is blind now, but I want to talk about that afterwards. I want to answer one of these viewer questions. So I always do viewer questions. People always submit them. I usually do 2 a show. So we're going to take a little break. We're going to answer that, and then we'll go back into the reaction and talking about things that's going on right now in the country. So this viewer's question: what's the line between patience and wasting time with someone? So I'm assuming they're talking about relationships here, and I think it's very important that you have this line set up before you even go into a relationship. You have to know what your boundaries are. You have to know where you draw the line in the sand before you get to the point where you're like, I guess I should draw a line in the sand. Maybe I should, right? So you need to do some like introspective thought before getting into a relationship. That's just how it is. But I would say the biggest thing that you can look for that'll let you know if you're wasting your time with someone is when you have a conversation with them about your expectations in a relationship. And if there is something that's bothering you and you bring it to them, and you're like, hey, it really bothers me when you do this thing. Not like you left the toilet lid up when it should be down or whatever, like big things. Like you have a problem with when they go out at night and don't text you back or something, right? If you bring that to them and say, hey, I have a problem with this, and they don't modify their behavior to try and accommodate your feelings and try to make it better, you're wasting your time. Here's the thing. No one has to do anything, right? You're not the boss of each other. So you can't, let's just say from a guy's perspective, right? You can't tell your girlfriend, hey, you're not going out tonight because I don't like it when my girlfriends go out tonight, right? It doesn't work that way. She can go out if she wants to. However, you cannot be her boyfriend if you want to, right? So you need to like be able to communicate these expectations and your boundaries. And if the person tries and they put in the effort, you're not wasting your time. If they don't put in effort and they're just like, whatever, they don't like you that much. And that's when you should really cut your losses. So hope that helps. All right. Before we go on, Wandering said, I work in security, so I'm straight to the point. I'm nice the first time, blunt the second. And after I repeat myself, third time, the conversation is over. Yeah. I think that's a good way to do things in life. You know what I mean? I think a lot of times, a lot of problems with communications happen when people try to pussyfoot and beat around the bush and expect the other person to be able to mind read and know how you're feeling. No one knows how somebody else is truly feeling. So if you have a problem with something, you just have to respectfully communicate it, right? And then have that type of relationships where they'll communicate it back to you. That's just how it is. You know, I think that's the best way to do things. So let's get right back into it now. Let me cue back up the, I want to find the, I don't know if it was a pepper ball or what, but this kid definitely lost an eye because of it. So we're going to watch the,
will you be blind?
We're going to watch the video and then of him talking about what happened or whatever. And then we'll watch the footage of what happened when he actually got shot in the eye.
Well, can you tell us about your injuries now and the prognosis? Will you be blind in that eye for life?
From what I've heard the doctors say and everyone else, yes, I will be blind for life. They said my globe was ruptured. I had my lower lid was cut up and they had to take skin from my temple to fix it. There's a lot to it. I don't remember all the things that they said. I have fractures in my skull that they can't fix, and I can't sneeze or cough because it's dangerous too. I remember also when I shot, there was pepper in it, and I had pepper down my throat. It made it hard to breathe for a long time. They pulled a piece of plastic the size of a nickel out of my eye. They said I had shards of metal, glass, and plastic all throughout my eye and behind my eye and in my skull. And they also said that I had a piece of shrapnel metal about a few millimeters away from my carotid artery. And they said it was a miracle I survived, because if it got any closer, if it hit that, I would have died that night.
Totally blind right now? You see nothing out of the eye?
Nothing out of this eye. Yeah, it's black.
So, man, I feel really bad for that kid. I don't know how old they are, but they're definitely young. You know what I mean? And it's sad because young people, I am not young anymore, but I remember when I was young, and you can just get like so passionate about things, but your brain hasn't even developed yet to really have an opinion on things. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure that was a male or female, but people's brains don't develop fully, like logic, decision making, all that stuff, till their mid-20s, you know? And I remember when I was young, I wanted to get some stupid ass tattoo. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I'm so glad I did not get it, because I think I told my mom and she was like, well, what does it mean? And I was like, like it means blah, blah, blah. And she was like, that you might like think that now, but like, are you going to think that 20 years from now? And thankfully I did, because I was old enough to go get the tattoo. I was 18. I'm very thankful that I did not go out and get the tattoo, because I wouldn't have liked it, and it would have ended up being a cover up job or whatever, you know? And so part of me wants to be like, yeah, you fucked around and found out. But at the same time, I just wish the find out wasn't so permanent. You know what I mean? Like, I don't wish anybody harm. I do want people to know that there is consequences to your actions, but I don't want people to get like seriously hurt. I don't want people to get killed on either side, you know, either side. I don't want ICE agents to get killed. I don't want protesters to get killed. I don't even want anybody to get seriously hurt. I just want everybody just to chill the fuck out. Like, calm down, chill the fuck out. All right. So let's watch the video a couple times, and we'll go from there. So you're gonna see him to the left over here. He has a bullhorn. Okay. So it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch because it's just such a shitty situation. You know, it's a fucking shitty situation. I don't think that cop meant to shoot him in the face. I think he was shooting in the direction of the people, and that kid is pretty short if you look, you know? And so there's a lot going on, and I think he took a round. Well, I don't think he did take a round right to the eye, like the worst spot at that range that it could have happened. And then it looks bad because the police officer grabs him and is dragging him away, but I think he knew that he needed medical attention, and that was not the place to do it. Right? That was not the place to do it right there where people are screaming and all that stuff. Because when I think he shot, and he probably knew where it hit, bang, the kid went down. Because other than that, the kid didn't do anything like at that point to be like detained and arrested or whatever. You know, the other kid that they are hauling off to the side did. He was getting arrested. That's why the whole group like ran up. What that other kid did, I don't know. But so it looks really bad when the kid's getting dragged by the police officer, but realistically, in a situation like that, there's no real nice way to do it in the middle of a protest / riot. Like, let me give you medical attention to your eye. You know what I mean? So it's tough to see, because I think anybody that has kids, like, he cannot be much older than a teenager. And for him to, I keep saying him, I think it's a him. For him to take that round to the eye, and then he falls immediately, and then he gets dragged, and you see blood and all that stuff. It's just tough to watch. So let's watch it again. Again, he's to the left here with these women. All right. And he's holding the bullhorn. I'll see if I can pause it, like, kind of like as he's about to get shot. Blurry. But you can see, like, he was firing, because I think he fired a couple shots. I think this person back here, I don't know if you guys can even see my cursor actually, but over into the background, there's a girl, and she's kind of like grabbing her face over his like back left shoulder. So I think that police officer standing next to the bullhorn that's been dropped, I think he is firing, and I don't know if the kid moves into the line or whatever, but he gets hit in the eye. It's crazy, but I feel it's hard to even say it, but I feel worse for that kid than I do for Renee Good, which is, I don't know if it's the age thing, you know, like a full grown woman versus that kid. I don't know. But yeah, like Wandering says, finding out sucks. They know what the dangers are, and when things get out of control, peaceful protest, or if they have any sense of self-preservation, get the fuck out when things hit the fan. Yeah, I know. And I think that one of the reasons why you're not seeing that more is because like there's so much stuff that happens and then doesn't have any consequence to it, so everybody feels very emboldened by it. And we talked about this before, but it's mostly because it's happening in these places where the governor tells the local police not to support the ICE agents. So, like, there's no way for ICE to arrest everybody there. Where would they bring them? Where would they store the prisoners? You know what I mean? Like, logistically, it's just not possible. So there's so many people that, like, do something and then do flee and run and get away with it. And when that happens so much, you start to see things like BLM, and then the rioting starts because people know that they can get ahead, right? They can make something good out of this. Like, now's my chance. I'm gonna go, you know, do this thing, etc. You know. True. Wandering says, I mean, she hit an officer with her car. Harder to feel worse for her than someone at least minding his own business. I know. Yeah, like, I just feel like she was an adult, and therefore she really knew she should have known the consequences for the actions, I think, more than this kid that's just like, rah, 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 I'm, you know, for the cause or whatever, and then bang. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's just, none of it leaves a good feeling in your stomach. You know what I mean? None of it leaves a good feeling in your stomach. But, you know, at the same time, like, you can always say, like, look, if you weren't there. Here's the other thing with a lot of the protest footage where it's like shows ICE doing something. It's always selectively cut where you don't see what the person did to deserve the outcome that they got, right? It's like, you always see the person, it's like on the ground, and it's like, oh, I didn't do anything. And it's like, Okay, well you probably did something, because most of the time I know I can go about my life and I don't have any worry about like anybody shooting me, right? But I also follow the laws, you know? I've never even got a speeding ticket before. Not saying I've never, sped. I'm sure I have, but it's just like I just follow laws, I just follow laws as much as I possibly can, right? And in fact, I think I have a video. I think this video is about that whole thing. I think what I was talking about, where you never see what the person did before, you always just see the police action, and then it's like, whoa, that looks so brutal. Like, imagine if you didn't see, like, even in that video where the kid just got shot in the eye, we don't know why they even dragged that other kid away. Something happened where they were like, all right, we are arresting this kid. Because, and I'll say that going back to just like the logistics of things, they have to be pretty selective on who is getting arrested. Because if they just arrested people willy-nilly, they wouldn't have anywhere to put them, transport them, all that stuff, right? So I don't know what that kid did, but he clearly did something to get arrested. And then the other kid was just, trying to stick up for it and whatever. But he paid the price. So again, this, I think, is debunking one of these videos where it doesn't show why this is happening. So the caption is, ICE agents refuse to look at her ID before detaining her.
She was in the car with her boyfriend who was here illegally. They were stopped. She refused to comply with ICE officers or give any identification. She was briefly detained, and then once she gave identification and they were able to confirm who she was, they released her immediately. Next.
This morning, a GMA exclusive, the 19-year-old college student detained by ICE while trying to visit her family for Thanksgiving, then deported against a judge's order, now speaking out.
It's been hard. She's had an active deportation order against her since 2015. She has evaded law enforcement by ignoring appeals processes, and DHS emphasized that she received full and due process back then, but chose to stay undocumented. Next.
ICE agents held their 5-year-old daughter outside their home to get her father to surrender.
Her dad was in the country illegally and had charges against him like strangulation and domestic abuse. He was evading officers, went to go run and hide in the woods, and left his daughter, totally abandoned her. ICE officers just wanted to make sure that she was okay and safe, as she was an abandoned child. We cannot hate the mainstream media enough. I am not being dramatic when I tell you that every single story like this that you see that the news reports on, there's always more to the story. Yeah. They will headline something. They will try to push a narrative that is objectively false. Yeah. That is omitting key pieces of information for the public to know. 10 out of 10 times, without fail, every single anti-ICE video.
And when they do that, it's like adding gasoline to the fire. And I don't know how they should be held accountable, but I really do feel like the media on both sides has a lot of blood on their hands. And I just don't know how we would hold them accountable for these things without it spinning and turning into a way of like controlling the press. Excuse me. Although the press is already controlled just by its advertisers and its donors and its board members and all that stuff. So like, excuse me, the press is not, they're not for us. You know what I mean? They're not for us. They're trying to make money, and sensationalism makes money, and their board members love that. And they can only push a certain narrative because their donors are either left or their donors are right, etc. Right? So I don't know how we fix that problem, but it is a massive, massive problem. And we'll talk about that in a little bit when we talk about the guy, the shooting that just happened last night, where the ICE agent shot a man in the leg. Right? We'll get there. I'm getting ahead of myself.
that you see, anti-ICE story that you see is omitting key details. They are not telling you the truth. They're trying to push a narrative to spread fear because the Democrats have to have these votes in order to win. It's their voter base. ICE is doing an incredible job. They're making our country safer. They're ensuring better quality lives for all citizens. They're protecting American citizens first. That's what a country should do. That's what officers should do. Prioritize the safety of its citizens. This smear campaign against them, it's wrong. It's a lie. It's all a lie. Don't fall for it.
So, you know, I don't even know who she is, right? Like this, I can't believe her story more than I can believe what the TikTok reels were saying, right? Because like, I'm not going to go fact check. I don't even know how I would fact check that. Like, was that really the situation where they detained her briefly and the boyfriend was in the car? I don't know. You know what I mean? So I would be just as ignorant if I was like, oh, what she's saying is true. And the other, you know, the other video is lying, right? You have to be very careful, very fucking careful nowadays, because for one thing, there's AI that makes shit look so real. It's not even true. And then like, if you're on X and you're like searching around like I am for content for the talks on these live streams, you see the most crazy takes, and you need to then go and kind of sift through it and figure out if it's even remotely true or not, you know, which is crazy. So, let's see. Somebody said they always hit us in the face. And then Wandering says, but the leadership that they have is nuts too. Live in an alternate reality, fanning the flames, saying that they're knocking door to door, dragging pregnant women off the street is dumb, right? And then JV says, LOL, just ignore me then. I don't know what I ignored. Sorry, I didn't pause my live stream and answer you immediately. My bad. Yeah, so that's interesting. So let me see. I wonder if I have any clips of the newest thing. Well, here's just some footage from last night that I thought was pretty crazy. Let me make sure the sound is not cranked. That's pretty crazy.
Oh, I got hit in the head really bad. Fuck. Out of the blue, the police are moving forward.
That's fucking crazy. Flashbangs, I think. Like that's looks like a fucking war zone, you know? But here's the thing that's like with what he was saying, he's like, out of the blue. Out of the blue. I don't even know why they did that. When in reality, I'm sure they were like, get back, disperse for like fucking 3 hours before they were like, all right, finally we do this. And then people are like, whoa, huh, where did that come from? You know, it's like, what the fuck? But yeah, it's just, you know, and I don't think we're ever going to get to a spot where I don't think we will ever get back to where we're like talking, but that both sides are no longer putting a spin on things. You know what I mean? Like, I think those days have sailed. Yeah, Wandering. See, at this point, this is what he says. See, at this point, everything we see is going to be biased, brain rot garbage. We just need to put the stuff down, go outside and touch some grass. 100%. And I think a lot of this, like, I'm going to call it mental illness, but a lot of this is like the terminally online is another phrase for it. And it's like, you can be online, but if you're just consuming the spin all the time, I really do think it gives you like a negative effect on things, when in reality you can just go outside and realize that life's pretty good. It's pretty normal. You know what I mean? Like, none of this is happening in my neighborhood. I think the human brain's not really made to know or care about more than like 30 people. You know, back in the day, you would go your whole life and you would never really leave your village more than like 50 miles or whatever. You know what I mean? You would definitely not know the struggles of somebody halfway around the globe fighting against their tyrannical government and all that stuff. Like, I do not think our brains were meant to be that wired. You know what I mean? Bit says rules of engagement and use the lethal force are not on the level here. Combat vet. And then Wandering says, what really put all this into perspective for me was watching videos and stories of North Korean defectors. Oh my God. Yeah, right. I don't remember that girl's name, but the one that escaped, and like how long she plotted that for. She was on a couple podcasts like the Sean Ryan show, and I don't know if she did Joe Rogan or not, but yeah, that was some pretty crazy shit. Yeah, there's some really fucked up shit in the world. That is for sure. And I think that it's not that I want other people to experience that, but I do think people need to travel more. I think traveling the world helps you have a more level-headed look at things. You know? I think more experiences, more exposure to different cultures, etc., I think is a very healthy thing that people should at least aspire to do. You know, if you're from a small town, you're going to have a small mind in a certain way. Not saying you're dumb. You're just not going to have as many experiences that shape who you are. So you have to get out there and travel. I know people that are like, how do I say this without giving away too much information? Okay, so I live in a rural area from a small town, but I left and came back. You know what I mean? Like, I left, I saw some of the world, and I came back and decided to live here. However, I remember I was talking to my grandmother, who is probably the most, like, out of the two grandparents, she was on my dad's side, and she was definitely the most, like, sheltered. And I said something like, I'm gonna go to Florida. She was like, Florida? Why you want to go to Florida? And I was like, I don't know, check it out or whatever. She's like, I don't know why I would ever want to go there. I'm not kidding. She had never been out of the state. She was like 80. She had never been out of the state that we live in. But somehow in her mind, she knew that she didn't want to go to Florida. Now, I went to Florida and I have my opinions on Florida, but at the same time, that shaped me so that I knew that I wanted to live where I wanted to live. You know what I mean? She was saying that she wanted to live where she has always lived, but she doesn't know any different. She never even experienced anything different. So how did she really know? You know? Yeah. Wandering says, Dimple has a bunch. Mrs. Park, there are 2 recent defectors. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Yep. They just finished a tour of the United States, and one lady soldier, she's on Dimple and frequently speaks to governments. What is Dimple? I keep forgetting her name. We created the Then Bit says, we created the Geneva Convention, LCJ, etc. for a reason. The Constitution should prevail. Okay. Yep. Yeah, so I would say get out and travel. Get out and travel. I think there's actually like a famous quote for it too, and I I should look it up and write it down, but it's basically about like how it's the biggest, it's like the biggest cure for like bigotry or something like that, you know, getting out and traveling. So I agree. All right, let's hit this other viewer comment. Let's hit this last viewer comment. So a viewer asked, how do you stop people from taking advantage of your willingness to help? So as a people pleaser, this can be a problem. This could be a problem for a lot of people, right? If you have issues with people pleasing, you can get taken advantage of really easy. So hear me out here. As much as you want to people please, it has to be a relationship, and we'll just say this is like a friendship. It has to be somewhat close to 50-50. It doesn't have to be exactly tit for tat, but it has to be in the ballpark of 50-50, right? Like for instance, if your friend is moving out of their apartment and you help them move out, when it comes time for you to move out of your apartment, you would hope that they would come and help you out. That type of thing. If they don't make that type of effort ever, and it's not 50-50 or 60-40 or whatever, if it's one-sided, you have to just be like, no, because chances are that person isn't actually really a friend. You know, they're just somebody that is using you for what you provide them. And at some point you have to say, what's in it for me? And I know as a people pleaser, it could be kind of hard to put yourself first because it feels really selfish. It feels really selfish and really self-centered. But at the same time, you want to know who your friends are. You want to know who the real ones are. And the real ones usually will step up to help you out without you even having to ask. But just take a little mental note, take stock sometimes and say, you know what? I did all this for that person. And if they haven't shown up for you, you have to just walk away. You know, I've done it with many people in my life, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I've had many people that I thought were really close friends. And then I realized that I was the only one that was actually helping, you know, because as a friendship, you're like helping each other out. You're on each other's teams. You have each other's backs. That's the way a friendship should go. If you're the only one helping all the time and being there for them when they need you, but it never works the other way, that's not your friend. That's not your friend. Okay. So, I'm going to bring up this video. Give me a second to find it. But it is talking about culture in America. And it is from one of, give me a second, because it's really good. It is from the owner of First Form. One moment, please. Mm-hmm. Let me see if this is it.
Where we just left off. And then they are paying them to be here.
I don't know if this is... Actually, I don't think that... Let me see. This is a really good...
The day after that...
Yeah, okay. This is it. I want to get it right in the beginning of when he's talking. So this is off JP Reacts. So this clip's off that, but this is a really good one. And again, you'll probably recognize this guy. He's the CEO and founder of First Form, which is like a supplement company, and they have like drinks and jerky and all this stuff. But I think he kind of really nails the underlying issue I have with all of this.
Personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion. okay? If we have shitty individuals, we're going to have a shitty culture. And we could throw a revolution. We could get new leadership. We could do all this shit. But the day after that, we still got a shitty ass culture. And until individuals recognize that the onus falls on their own fucking individual shoulders to live the standards of the American culture, then we will not fix shit. And nothing will change. Shitty individuals equals shitty culture. Apathetic individuals equals apathetic culture. People who say, oh, why do you that equals that kind of culture, okay? If we have excellence in culture, we have people who are working hard, we have people who are standing up, who are courageous, who are making money, who are working, or, you know, living the American dream to the best of their abilities. Other people see it. People cannot be convinced through words. They can only be convinced through what they see. And when they see it, they convince themselves, okay? If you live next door to a guy and all of a sudden he goes from fat to being ripped, and all of a sudden he gets a new truck, and then he's moving out of the neighborhood because he's doing well, you're going to say, well, what the is Steve doing? What's he doing? And he's going to say, well, I committed to this and this and this and this and this. And that person's going to say, well, maybe I should do that too.
That's not too bad.
Okay,
Yeah,
but
right.
the American value that is lacking right now is the understanding that we have an individual responsibility to do this.
Amen to that. We have an individual.
So again, he nails it, and the part for me that was like rung true the clearest is if you have shitty people, you're gonna have shitty culture. And I think about this a lot, actually. Like, what type of country do I want America to be? Like, what do I want our culture to be? And I just want it to be a good culture. You know, I want it to be one that we're all proud of. And I think that there's a lot of people that are living lives that they're not proud of. But I don't know if they even know how to live a life that they're proud of. And I definitely don't want to go down the path of like talking about God and stuff like that, because, you know, personally, I'm not like a believer or whatever, but I do think there is something to be said about, I think our country had a better culture when there was more of an emphasis on God. And it's kind of weird to say because, like, again, I'm not like a religious person, but there is something about religion that feels like a spot in a lot of people that gives them the meaning and does give them some guidance on how to live their life. And I think when that's gone, man, I think there's just a lot of lost people out there, you know? And I'm not saying like Jesus is the answer, right? Like, you're not going to hear me say that, but I'm also secure enough in my own beliefs to like explore ideas, right? And say, you know, maybe this thing that we did wasn't so good for the American culture. Maybe this thing was, you know, you have to have the freedom to be able to think about things. You have to be able to, even if you don't believe in something wholeheartedly, the only way to see the other side is to actually spend some time trying to see the other side's point. No one does that anymore. And I think that's one of the biggest problems. No one can talk anymore. We can't even debate anymore. You know what I mean? We can't even debate anymore. Like, people are afraid of getting shot if they go out and they say a certain thing, right? You know, it's like, Jesus, what are we doing? It's crazy. But hey, it's been about an hour and 45 minutes now. I think I've said all I have to say tonight. I appreciate everybody. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for contributing in the chat. I appreciate it. Great conversations tonight, back and forth. And so I live stream every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please come back, check me out. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't subscribed so you get the notification next time I go live. And I will I will catch you all later. Take it easy.